Hi friends, I am Professor Waghmode here, working as assistant professor in agronomy department. Today we can see the topic on classification of herbicides, its selectivity and resistance, then allopathic effect of weed. First of all, you can see the what is the concept or the definition of herbicide. The term herbicide derives from the Latin word that is herb means cadmium and the meaning of it is plant killer. The herbicide, the chemical which is used for control or kill the weeds, is called as the herbicide. The herbicide is chemical that is also used to destroy the plants, especially the all kinds of weeds. Then herbicides are also used to kill the weeds or damage unwanted plants or the parts of them. The chemicals which used for the killing the weeds or inhibiting the growth of weed are called the herbicides. The weedicide, the term herbicide and the weedicide are different. That is, weedicide means the chemical which is used to destroy only annual weeds in the farm or the field, and the herbicide means kills all kinds of the weeds. It may be herb, it may be perennial, annual, or the biennial. But weedicides can the chemical that is used only for the control of annual weeds. Hence, the all herbicides are weedicides, but all weedicides are not herbicides because the herbicides control or kill all kinds of weeds, but weedicides kill only annual weeds. Next one, you can see the classification of herbicides. The classification based on the chemical nature. That is first one. According to chemical nature, you can see here that is first one inorganic herbicide. The herbicide which does not contain or do not contain the carbon atoms in their molecule, and they were the first chemical used for control of weed. For example, arsenic acid, arsenous acid, then sulfuric acid are the acid type of inorganic herbicides. Then whereas the sodium arsenate, sodium chlorate, sodium sulfate, etc. are used as inorganic salts. Second type, that is organic herbicides. These herbicides contain carbon atoms in their molecules. That is called as organic herbicides, and they may be oil or non-oil. For example, diesel oil, xylene type of aromatic oils. The majority of the present day herbicides are non-oils. That is, there are about 150 herbicides are available. Then second type, that is classification based on methods of application of herbicides. That is first one in methods of application of herbicide, that is soil active herbicide. The soil active herbicide is one that is applied primarily to the soil rather than the vegetation. They act as through the roots and other underground parts of the weeds like rhizomes and the tubers. These herbicides, that is soil active herbicides, are also sometimes called as root herbicides. For example, fluchlorine, EPTC, simazine, then allachlor, then trifluorine. Then non-crop lands, the soil active herbicides are used for as a soil stirlant and the fumigants. Next, that is the third one, that is shoot active herbicide, is applied when the weeds were after their emergence from the soil. That is, after emergence of the weed, the herbicide should be applied. That is shoot active herbicide. They are absorbed by the plant foliage and they are translocated to the other parts, the other plant parts. For example, paraquat, dicot, MCPB are the examples of foliage active herbicides. There may be some herbicides that are both soil active and foliage active. For example, 2,4-D and the atrazine. Then third one, classification based on the time of application of herbicides. That is first one in time of application of herbicide, that is pre-planned application. As the herbicide application may made any time before the crop is planted is called as pre-planned application or incorporation. Also, the herbicide is also required to be incorporated in the soil soon after its the application. The term is called as pre-planned incorporation. For example, PPI herbicides like fluchlorine, EPTC, trifluorine are the type of PPI. That is pre-planned incorporation herbicides. These herbicides, these PPI herbicides usually prove more effective on the annual grasses than the broadleaf weeds. Next, second type, that is pre-emergence application. When herbicide is applied to soil soon after the sowing of crop before the emergence of the weed. This is the called as pre-emergence application. This is the difference between pre-planned application or the pre-emergence application. Pre-planned application means the herbicides applications made many time before the crop is planted, but in a pre-emergence application, the herbicides is applied to the soil after sowing of the crop or before emergence of the weed. For example, atrazine, simazine, diaron, and the allelopathic are the examples of pre-emergence application of herbicide. And such herbicides are also acts as a soil active herbicide. That is, all pre-emergence herbicides are acts as a soil active herbicide. Then similarly, in slow growing crops like potato and sugarcane, one may like to apply a non-residual type of herbicide to destroy the existing mat or the weed flora, the seedlings of the weed, in the couple of days before emergence of the crop. This kind of treatment is called as the pre-emergence to the crop, or more commonly as a early post-emergence treatment. Next one, third, that is post-emergence application. When the herbicide is applied to kill the young weeds standing among among the crop plants, it is called as post-emergence application. That is application of the herbicide after the weed growth for the killing of the young weeds in between the standing crop. That is called as post-emergence application. The post-emergence application of herbicide is more widely used in India. That is to control the variety of weeds in wheat with herbicide like 2,4-D or isoprotron. Then in dryland agriculture, where we have the rough tilth, usually post-emergence herbicides prove effective or more effective than the pre-emergence herbicides. Then few patches of the specific parasitic and the perennial weeds can be treated with the standing crop by restricting the herbicide spray to the weedy spots. This method of application is called as spot treatment, where the continuous spots of such weeds, one can use spray guard to carefully deliver the herbicide spray on the inter-rows weeds without wetting the crop plant. This method of application is called as directed application of herbicides. In the inter-row spaces are then weeded later by physical means. This method of application of herbicide is called as the band application. That is, continuous spots of such weeds called as direct application of weeds. Inter-row spaces are weeded, they are called as band application. Or the few patches of specific parasitic or perennial weeds can be controlled with the herbicide spray called as spot treatment. This is three types of the categories which were included in post-emergence application of the herbicides. Then next, for lay-by application, it is the application of herbicides after the last cultivation in the crops, such as after ridging in the sugarcane and the cotton. This is called as lay-by application. Next type for classification, that is number 4, classification on the basis of use. That is, in that first one, selective herbicide is one that will kill some of weeds or some weed species when applied to the mixed population or the mixed plant population without causing serious injury to the main crop or other crop species. The selective herbicides are used in the crop areas, lawns, gardens, and the grasslands. For example, 2,4-D, EPTC, trifluorelin, allelopathic, then butachlor, trifluorelin, then pendimethalin are the selective herbicides. Are the examples of selective herbicides used in the croplands. Then second type, that is non-selective herbicide. It destroys majority of the treated vegetation. Whatever the vegetative area are sprayed with the non-selective herbicide, it will kill, or weeds are to be killed or treated with this specific herbicide. For example, paraquat, dicot. The non-selective herbicides are employed for general vegetation control on industrial sites, fallow lands, and in aquatic and the tennis court. Then certain selective herbicides, when applied in the higher rates, it can act as a non-selective. As if the selective herbicides is applied the higher dose than the recommended, then it will be converted into, or it acts as a non-selective herbicide. For example, the simazine and diaron. Then third one, that is contact herbicide, that is kill only plant parts. Those plant parts which are come in contact or come in direct contact, that is called as the contact herbicide. And thus contact herbicide applied to the foliage of a plant will not kill its roots, kill the above ground plant parts, that is foliage part, that is directly come in contact. For example, paraquat, dicot, propanil, then petroleum oils. Then fourth one, translocated or systemic herbicides. The herbicide move within the plant from the point of treatment to its other plant, other parts to a variable extent. That is translocated or systemic herbicides. It often kill the entire plants, even only a portion of the plant was treated with the herbicide. For example, glyphosate. This is a translocated translocated residual type of herbicides. This herbicide, translocated herbicide, is particularly important in the controlling of the perennial weeds, and especially applied in the wastelands or the fallow lands. And some of the herbicides may exhibit both contact and translocated activity. For example, atrazine is one of the herbicide which can be used or can be acts as both contact and translocated activities. Next one, that is the fifth one, residual herbicides. The residual herbicide contains its phytotoxic effect in the soil for a considerable time after its application. This residue period may be 3 to 4 weeks in some of the herbicides such as 2,4-D and EPTC. Next one, that is non-residual herbicide. It is inactivated in the soil immediately or within the few days after it reaches to the soil. For example, paraquat, dicot are the non-residual or the very short persistent herbicides. The non-residual herbicides are good for quick knockdown of the existing weed. Then next one, that is narrow spectrum herbicides. The herbicides upon the application to a mixed population of weeds proves active on one or more or very limited number of the species. The narrow spectrum herbicides are very useful against the specific noxious weed. For example, metogeron, diclofop. These are widely used herbicides against the specific weeds like Pilaris minor and the Avenophyta. This is the majorly mimic weeds found in wheat. Then next one, broad spectrum herbicide, that is on the other hand controls a wide spectrum of weedy flora at a time. The most of the herbicides are belonging to this group, that is broad spectrum herbicides. Since these find widespread use of in agriculture. For example, glyphosate as a broad spectrum, paraquat, dicot are the examples of broad spectrum herbicide. Next one, the soil stirlant. It prevents the growth of plant when present in soil, or it sterilizes the soil up to 16 weeks. That is soil stirlant. Then fumigants. These are the volatile chemicals applied into the confined spaces or into the soil to produce a gas that will destroy the weed seeds and acts as a soil stirlant. For example, methane, then diazomate are the example of fumigants. This is the classification of herbicides on the different basis. Next point, that is you can see the selectivity of herbicides. That is, herbicide selectivity is the phenomenon where the chemicals kills the target plant species in a mixed population or mixed plant population without harming or only slightly affecting the other plants. This is concept of herbicide selectivity. The herbicide activity and the selectivity are the closely related. Activity refers the ability of herbicide to control the weed. Then selectivity refers the ability of ability to control it without affecting the other plants in a mixed stand. That is selectivity. The differential absorption by the plants. You can see here that is first one, morphological differentiation. Certain morphological features of the plant will allow limited retention of the aqueous sprays of the herbicide on their foliage to obtain selective control of weeds. Narrow upright leaves, finely ridged leaf surface, waxy leaf surface, and the pubescent leaves imparts the limited spray retention on the plants. Next factor, that is point, differences in the growth habits of the plants. In the slow germinating crops like sugarcane and potato, the weed emerges and establishes before the crop emerges. Selectivity can be obtained by spraying the contact herbicide before the crop plants are seen over the ground. And directed spray on the weed between the rows or the crop rows is another method of selective herbicide application. The difference in the underground root growth of the weed and the crop enables the selective weed control. This is the differences in the growth habits of the plant. And third one, that is use of adsorbent and antidotes. The activated charcoal is the strong adsorbent of many herbicides. If the germinating crop seeds and the seedlings are surrounded by a layer of activated charcoal within the soil, they can escape the soil applied herbicide absorption, leading to selective herbicide usage. And the chemical sweeteners and the antidotes have been discovered which have proved more effective to use than the activated charcoal or the charcoal. For example, that is the first highly successful sweetener used in the maize crop. Then fourth one, use of granular formulations. The selectivity of the herbicide can be obtained by giving weeds the opportunity of the selective absorption of the toxicant. The granular formulations such as iron and nitrophane, when applied, the filters through the crop foliage without being absorbed, and they settle on the moist soil where the germinating weeds absorb the herbicide. This is the differential in the growth habits and the active adsorbents and the use of the active adsorbent and the antidotes and the morphology differences. These are the differences by the absorption by the plants. And the next one, differential rates of the herbicide deactivation. The herbicide differential rates of the deactivation by the target plants and the non-target plant before they reach action sites aid with the herbicide selectivity. The deactivation may be the process of metabolism and the reverse metabolism. The tolerant species deactivates the herbicide rapidly, whereas the susceptible species does slowly. The molecular structure of the herbicide is changed in the plant system due to the metabolism to yield non-phytotoxic product. The reverse metabolism is with the cell constituent in the living plants, coupling of intact herbicide molecules. Due to the reverse metabolism, toxic herbicide concentration are prevented in the mainstream of the plant. Next one, that is the differential protoplasmic resistance. The protoplasm of the different plant species and the varieties differ with the withstand abnormal deficiencies and excess its numerous constituents that may be induced in the presence of the herbicide molecules. And the next and the last that is multi-factor herbicide selectivity. The many plant herbicide system exhibits the multi-modes of the selectivity. The herbicide selectivity, especially fluchlorelin between the resistant groundnut and the susceptible cucumber, is due to both of its limited translocation and from the roots and the roots to the leaves. And last one, sublethal effects of the herbicide. The herbicide can control in the at the concentrations lethal to their growth and development. The sublethal concentrations, some of the herbicide have the stimulatory effect on the growth and development process. These are the all the factors which are responsible for the selectivity of the herbicides. Next point, we can see the herbicide resistance. The herbicide resistance is defined as the inherited ability of the weed population to survive on the herbicide application. That is normally lethal to the vast majority of the individuals of that species, that is herbicide resistant. Although the herbicides are used regularly, that is same type of herbicides are used regularly or continuously, there will be the specific weed can increases its resistance power of the specific herbicide. That is herbicide can as the one of the major factor contributing to world food production, and their continuing success is threatened by the evolution of the herbicide resistant in the wheat. Since the first report of the susceptible wheat population acquiring the resistance to atrazine 1970. In India, the three herbicides, that is isoprotron, metrogeron and the methabenzothiogeron, used to control the phalaris minor in wheat in areas of the northwest India. In experiment results in early 90 indicated some resistant biotypes of the phalaris against the isoprotron. These are the actually history or the research data of this herbicide resistance. You can say here next point, that is different herbicide resistance are noticed, that is resistance to phenoxy propanates and the cyclohexane diones then resistance to acetolactate synthetase herbicides, then resistance to photosystem second herbicide, then resistance to other herbicide groups, and the multiple herbicide resistance. These are different types of the herbicide resistance. Next point, that is allelopathic effect of weeds. The term allelopathy refers the phenomena of the one plant having differential effects on the other plant, or the detrimental effects of the hazardous effects on the other plants through the release of toxic chemicals through via, that is, leaves, stems, or the roots. Then allopathic effects of weed, there are the examples, that is, root exudates of the Canada thistle weed injure the oat plants in the field. Then root exudates of the Euphorbia hirta injure the flaxseed or linseed. Leaves of the inflorescence of Parthenium species affects the germination and seedling of the maize. Then tubers of the Cyprus rotundus affects the dry matter production of sorghum. The quagrass produces toxins through roots, leaves, and the seeds, interfered with the uptake of nutrient by maize. The stem of Solanum species affects the germination and the seedling growth of the wheat. Then leaves and inflorescence of Parthenium affects the germination and seedling growth of wheat. Then seeds of Datura affects germination and growth of sunflower. These are the ideal examples of allopathic effects of weed. These are the all types of weeds which shows the allopathic effect. Okay, thank you. This is today's topic about the herbicide and the weedicides, application of different methods of application of the herbicides, then herbicide selectivity and resistance, then allopathic effect of weed. Thank you.